What's up, guys? My name is Brandon Biard, and I'm here to tell you about launching a podcast. Specifically, I want to talk about what I wish I knew when I first started building podcasts. See, I've launched multiple podcasts over the past decade or so, and I've been thinking a lot about what's the advice I wish I could, go back in time and give to my younger self that could have just helped me avoid years of frustration and banging my head against the wall, as if I was Biff from Back to the Future 2, like when he steals the sports almanac, takes it back and gives it to his younger self, so his younger self can make millions of dollars sports gambling. That's what I wish I could do, but I can't. I can't go back in time and give myself advice, but I can give it to you. And I can hope that it'll help you on your podcasting journey save years of struggle and thousands of wasted dollars. So learn from me. I'll start here, okay? If you have a podcast or you're trying to launch a podcast or you have launched a podcast and you're just not getting the success you want, it's because you're probably doing one of these four things wrong. First, you're doing it alone, or you're doing too much, or you're not marketing it well, or you're just making the wrong show. Let me dive into those for a minute. So if you're doing it alone, meaning you don't have help or guidance, you're just kind of piecing together bits and pieces of information you get online, that's dangerous. Also, you don't have the right support and motivation. Doing it alone is tough, and that will lead you to burn out because it's hard putting yourself out there for other people to see and being honest and authentic. And if you feel like you're doing it alone, no one's got your back, you're not witnessing other people in your same general experience level doing the same thing, you'll shrink. You'll shrink like a little scared puppy, and you'll run away. So don't do it alone. You're doing too much. Yeah. I know when I first started launching podcasts, I was doing everything alone. I was doing the editing, the guest scheduling, the show notes, the publishing, all of it. And that is a recipe for disaster, okay? That is a recipe to absolutely burn out because you can't, maybe it's okay at the very beginning to do a few episodes of editing to learn kind of the process and what you're good at and what you're not. You shouldn't do that for very long, though. You will absolutely quit. You've got to get help. You've got to have a budget, ideally, to get an editor, to get a VA, get a little bit of help. Or if you can't even do that, there are so many great AI tools now that weren't available, when I started for sure over 10 years ago, but that weren't available 2 years ago that make the process so much easier. So get help from the artificial computer overlords or from a fellow human. What else? Not marketing it well. I know it feels like you can get in this routine where you keep recording shows over and over. Maybe you're bringing in guests, but the key is you have to go on other people's shows. You have to leverage other people's audiences to come over to become your audience. So find people who are going to have the same audience as you, and or is almost the same. Be on their show. Reach out to them. Try to find people that are a little ahead of you in that front, and be on their show. Add some value, and you can bring their audience, their delicious little audience, over to you. And here's the other big one. You're making the wrong show. It's so easy to get caught up in figuring out exactly what niche my show belongs in. I'll talk about it now. So I got this advice once from a well-known podcaster who said the riches are in the niches. This is the worst advice I ever received, because what that did was that made me believe I had to figure out what marketing niche my show belonged in. It meant that I had to figure out, okay, what niche, if I had a business, would it be in? And then I'm going to translate that to a show audience. Terrible advice. It sent me in the wrong direction for years. A better answer to that is fuck the niche, Just know you are the niche. Your unique perspective and your unique voice and the things that you're interested in, that's all you need. That's your niche. You can start a show now, and you don't even necessarily have to know what your show is about. Just start. If you don't have it well defined, I think in your gut, the show you really want to make. You're just maybe afraid to make it because it's like, what if people don't like this? What if they don't like my opinions? You know what show you want to make. It's probably that show that you're like, I'll make that show one day when I give myself permission to, be entertaining or to not fit neatly in a niche. Go ahead and make that show now. So if you're making the wrong show, you're not going to enjoy it, number one. And number two, you're just going to burn out eventually, and you're not going to know what to really make with it. So make the show you want to make now, okay? Forget that advice about the riches are in the niches. So let me take a step back, actually. I'm kind of ancient, and I've been podcasting for a long time. Here's my story, okay? So I started out with a YouTube channel over 10 years ago, and it was fun, but I didn't really know what I was doing. It was kind of like a riff on The Daily Show a little bit. I edited everything myself, once again, doing everything by myself, making every mistake of the 4 critical errors that I could. I did it alone. I did too much. I didn't market it well, and I'm not sure it was the wrong show, but I just didn't know what I was doing. So ultimately, I quit that. It ended up being the wrong show, I think, in the end, but I had fun making it. So I pivoted to podcasting. Podcasting is the best way to grow a show today. It's going to be the most durable, and it's going to build the most trust and loyalty. All right. Once people are in your podcast, once they listen to you, they will listen to you for years. So that's the best way to do it. First podcast I made was a game show podcast. Oh, it was so much fun. It was like an audio Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Once again, I made all the same mistakes. I made all the errors. This time, I even was writing questions, trivia questions all the time. It was too much. After 2 seasons, I just got burned out, even though I had actually stumbled upon some really good strategies I figured out. I'd been in Apple's New and Noteworthy. The show had a lot of downloads, thousands, and it was working, but I quit it. I guess there was something deeper that I wanted to do. So I went about doing that. This time I hired a coach and an editor, got some help, ended up being the wrong coach. This wasn't a podcasting coach. It was more of like a general creativity business coach. And it just wasn't a good fit. And so that didn't really work. Big mistake. And that ultimately burned out too. So you got to listen to your heart. You got to listen to what you really wish you could see out there in the world. And I'll say this, I think the most important thing, so doing it alone is really bad. What's even worse is getting the wrong help. I wish I had a program that was run by somebody who knew the mindset piece of putting a podcast out there more than anything. Because there's tons of strategies. The info's out there for free, more or less. But I just wish I knew someone who had done the same journey, who was the same kind of person, not just someone who had a podcast. Lots of marketers and entrepreneurs have podcasts. I don't really think they are podcasters. I really wish I could have learned from someone who was a podcaster, somebody whose ideal vision was to have a show that is the business, not a show that like is a marketing channel for your business, but a show that's actually like, that's why you're doing the business is the show. And because that's what I'm ultimately trying to do. So I wish I had that. And I'm going to be honest with you. This is a shameless plug, but it fits right into what I'm talking about. I haven't ever found a coaching program that is just for people who want to ultimately, you want to be a podcaster. You want to be a content creator and make money from that. It doesn't have to directly be from ads for that. You can have a successful podcast that makes 6 figures or more with a fairly small audience. It's just figuring out who you want to talk to. And, I wish I had had help from somebody who understood that mindset, who had, made some mistakes, who had figured out strategies that actually work. And so I actually have a coaching program that is geared towards exactly that. People who want to build a podcast, get to their 1,000 true fans as quickly as possible, and then use that as a foundation for a business that, they enjoy making, like a content business. Basically being like a media mogul, a modern day budding media mogul. That's what I want. And that's what I want to help other people become as well. So if you're interested in that, there's a link in the I was going to say the show notes. This isn't a podcast. There's a link in the YouTube description to book a call with me, and I'll help you. If you're stuck, I'll help you, give you some strategies to get unstuck and moving. And if you're a good fit for the program, I'll give you more info. All right, none of that. Another reason why, this is actually such a great time to launch a podcast or any online show, because the technology now, thanks to AI and everything that didn't exist 10 years ago, let alone 2 years ago, is amazing. I've been sitting here recording ads today in my living room here. I'm just speaking to you on my iPhone because this is the best camera I have. Don't even have to buy much equipment these days. Don't get bogged down by that. That was the other thing. I got really obsessed with getting the right equipment. It does not matter that much. And especially now, it is echoey as hell in here. It sounds like I'm in a high school basketball gymnasium. But that just sounds so old school, gymnasium. It sounds like I'm in a high school basketball court room, and it's echoey. But I'm just using AI to clean it up. I don't even need a microphone. Here's a podcast microphone that I use to record podcasts, ATR 2100. It's not even plugged in. I don't need it. I haven't used it for any of it because I'm going to use the old AI to fix everything right up. So it's such a good time from that perspective. It's so easy to produce something of decent quality with very little setup or equipment expense. Another thing I wish I knew was to, I had this idea that I hated my job. I wanted a business. I'm going to make this podcast work and be a business within a year. And that's going to be my exit out of this job. Now, look, you absolutely can build a business that's related to your podcast in less than a year and have the freedom you want. It's not a guarantee. But the one thing I would say about that is you have to, at the beginning, take the pressure off your show. Have some runway, keep your job. Don't quit it yet. Start mentally checking out maybe, but don't quit. Nothing kills creativity more than financial pressure. So don't let that happen to you. All right, give yourself some time, give yourself some breathing space, figure it out, experiment. Also, your first 10 episodes don't have to look like the next 10. You don't have to have the format figured out exactly at the beginning. You're free to experiment with a few episodes that never have to be published, Give yourself that flexibility at the beginning. Make it fun, all right? Don't overburden yourself. So to kind of put a cherry on this ice cream sundae of podcasting success, that's a terrible analogy, but just go with me. What really matters when you're getting going on a podcast? The things that I wish I knew then, they were very more like fundamental mindset things and not strategic things necessarily. So remember, don't do it alone. Get help. Get a program if you can and follow it because that just gives you community guidance. You know the steps. You can remove the guesswork and it makes it more fun. Market it. Go be on other people's shows. What else? Make the right show. Have the guts to make the right show. And don't do it all yourself. Get some help. Use AI or outsource it, whatever. But those are all the things that I think really would have made my podcasting journey easier because if I was doing all those things, I would enjoy the process and I would stick with it. Whatever show I had 10 years ago, even if it was that YouTube channel, if I had just stuck with it every week, ultimately, it would have been like a hockey stick. It would have gone up. it would have had success. It would have been the foundation of a business that I could use to buy my freedom and, have the lifestyle that I always wanted. But I did none of those things. And I don't want you to do those things. And that's really it. Do those things and you're going to be good to go. Don't obsess over the equipment. Don't feel like you have to get it right on the beginning. Just consistent moving forward, consistent progress. That's what's great about joining like a community or having a coach or somebody who knows what they're doing. It will keep you from getting stuck. You don't want to get stuck. You don't want to get burned out, and you don't want to get to a place where you don't know what to do and nothing's working and then you just bail. You just want to keep moving forward, and that effort compounds so much. So I hope this was helpful to you. Leave a comment if you have a question, and I'll answer it. And thank you so much for checking me out. This is my first video on this new YouTube channel that I have. So thank you very much for being here, and I will talk to you next time.